Well, the rand is firm as traders remain cautious ahead of U.S. inflation figures, which could provide fresh clues on the Federal Reserve's interest rate path. Let's unpack these latest market moves. Kagiso Matlala is an equity sales trader with Standard Bank, and he joins us now live. Kagiso, welcome. The rand is considerably firmer against the U.S. dollar. What's driving that?
Morning, everyone. Yeah, you're quite correct. It's been quite strong this morning. We early doors, we saw offshore selling it for about 15 cents lower, but they did all buy it back, and it has been strengthening throughout the rest of the day. The overall bigger trend is obviously that we've seen the rand appreciate throughout the month of Feb. This is all on the back of dollar weakness. With the ongoing signaling from the Fed officials that we will start seeing rate cuts as early as this year. And obviously, the timing of it is still tricky, but definitely the momentum is going the right way and looks positive for the currency.
Kagiso, you're like me now saying good morning, but it is very firmly afternoon if you're still in South Africa with me. Yes. Brait has published a voluntary pre-close trading update. What do those numbers say?
Yeah, they did this morning. It was a mixed bag from Brait. You would have seen hints of what's coming in the Premier update that came out last week. In general, revenue in the mill-based business continues to see inflationary price increases. Groceries and international business also showed some positive momentum. And then Premier, as I mentioned, ticking over with Virgin continuing to recover. Well, the challenge for Brait is always that New Look is still a struggling business. And we are likely to see more elevated capex in that baking business of theirs.
And then the Prudential Authority of the South African Reserve Bank has approved a transaction for Capitec to increase its shareholding in Afrifin Holdings Limited. That's an international online consumer lending group. Talk us through those developments, Kagiso.
So yes, you're correct. They announced this morning that they've increased their stake from 40.6% to 97.7%. This Afrifin business, they've owned a stake in it since 2017. So, it's not a major player in the bigger scheme of things in terms of the balance sheet of Capitec. The transaction is about 26.3 million euros. In essence, Capitec is trying to diversify its offshore kind of revenue, and obviously it's positive for the business.
And then Hyprop Investments has a trading statement out. Does anything stand out for you from those numbers?
Yeah, also nothing really stood out there. They left their full-year guidance unchanged, expected to be down between 10 to 15% and down 8.3% for this half. It does indicate that they're expecting a slower second half in SA. And then the other thing that what might have stood out is obviously they've left out a dividend. There was no interim dividend, which could be seen as negative. But management is being prudent. They do have a couple of headwinds in Nigeria. We've also got headwinds in SA going into the election. So prudent management, but otherwise a stable set of numbers.
Yeah. And then this is obviously a story that's been in the media for quite some time, quite some years. Vodacom Group and former employee Nkosana Makate planning to enter now private talks to discuss his compensation for the Please Call Me service, which he says he proposed more than 2 decades ago. So I suppose the hope here is that they will reach an out-of-court settlement. Where are we with those developments?
Yes, so Vodacom came out, and they're the ones that actually called for the private discussion. If you recall, in Feb, the Supreme Court of Appeal ruled out, and a ruling indicated that a compensation could range between 29 billion and 63 billion, which is obviously a massive number for Vodacom. Vodacom after that has come back. They did file at the Constitutional Court, but I think the risk of going into another litigation and potentially having a damaging judgment against Vodacom obviously has caused them to force them to come back to the table and have private talks. And I think this time round they will reach kind of a conclusion. We're hopeful that this settles the matter for both parties.
Yeah, I think the last proposal Vodacom made was around 47 million, if I'm not mistaken. That's a long way off from the multiple billions that you've just mentioned.
That is correct, and I think it will be difficult talks, but I think we're much closer than any other point in time.
And do you reckon they will come out and tell us what the number is in the end?
I think if the number is very significant, Vodacom will disclose. I suspect shareholders would want to know, especially if it's going to have a big impact on balance sheet or anything else like that.
Yeah, never mind shareholders. South Africa wants to know. Kagiso Matlala, let me thank you for your time this afternoon. He's an equity sales trader from Standard Bank, helping us unpack some of those big market moves.